Why red hair came from a different species. If you have red hair, you're carrying something 50,000 years old, and it isn't fully human. Only 1 to 2% of the world has natural red hair, same rarity as green eyes, roughly. But the origin story is stranger, much stranger, because this trail doesn't end with modern humans at all. Start with the mechanism. Hair color runs on 2 pigments. Eumelanin makes black and brown. Pheomelanin makes red and yellow. Most people run mostly on eumelanin. Redheads carry a mutation instead, in a gene called MC1R, sitting on chromosome 16. Normally, MC1R tells your melanocytes to keep pumping out eumelanin, dark pigment, steady signal. Mutate that gene, and the signal breaks. Cells default to pheomelanin instead. Red pigment. There are dozens of MC1R mutations that can do this. Bright copper, strawberry blonde, auburn. And here's why it's rare. You need 2 mutated copies, 1 from each parent. 1 copy alone, and you're just a carrier, no red hair. But you can pass it on. Now here's where this stops being a simple genetics lesson. These mutations didn't start in Africa, where modern humans evolved. They showed up later, after humans had already left. And genetic sequencing of Neanderthal remains found, something that sounds almost impossible. Neanderthals already had it, a separate human species, living across Europe and Asia for hundreds of thousands of years before modern humans ever arrived. And some of them carried a version of MC1R linked to red hair, pale skin too. Not the same mutation modern redheads carry, a different one, but the same trait, already there, long before your ancestors showed up. Then modern humans left Africa, 60 to 70,000 years ago, into Europe, into Neanderthal territory, and they interbred. Today, people of non-African descent carry 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA, scattered through the genome. And tucked inside that fragment for some people sits MC1R, which means if you have red hair, your ancestry doesn't stop at modern humans. It runs through a species that went extinct 40,000 years ago. You're carrying a signature older than your own species' arrival in Europe. It didn't spread evenly either. It concentrated hard. Ireland and Scotland sit at the center. 10 to 13% of the population has red hair there, 10 times the global average. A 2019 study in Nature Communications traced it further. The mutations clustered specifically in regions with the deepest ancient Celtic ancestry. Celtic populations carried MC1R at unusually high frequency. Then they settled on islands, isolated, limited mixing with outside gene pools. The trait didn't just persist, it climbed. Outside that region, red hair is genuinely rare, almost absent in China, small pockets in Morocco and Algeria, tracing back to old European mixing. But if you have red hair, the strongest bet runs through the Celtic populations of Ireland and Scotland. The Neanderthal side of this actually makes environmental sense. Neanderthals evolved in Europe around 400,000 years ago. Cold, cloudy, low sun for a very long time. And genetic analysis suggests some of them carried pale skin and red hair through their own MC1R variant, doing the exact same job. Less eumelanin, more pheomelanin. 2 theories for why that would help. 1. Vitamin D. Dark skin blocks UV. UV makes vitamin D. At high latitude, with weak sun, lighter skin, and hair let more through. Less deficiency. 2. Sexual selection. Same idea as blue eyes. Rare trait. Small population. Stands out. Gets chosen. A 2010 study in Science confirmed something specific. The modern human MC1R variants aren't the same mutations Neanderthals carried, but they arose after interbreeding, and they do the identical job, which suggests the trait got favored again, independently, once it showed up in European environments. The story doesn't stop at the Celts either. The Vikings show up too. Red hair was common among Norse populations. Historical and genetic evidence both confirm it. MC1R ran at elevated frequency there compared to their neighbors. And when Vikings raided and settled across Ireland, Scotland, the wider British Isles, they added another layer of red hair variants directly into the existing Celtic gene pool. Eric the Red founded the first Norse settlement in Greenland, named for his hair. So was his son, Leif Erikson, generally credited as the first European to reach North America. So the regions with the highest red hair today, Ireland, Scotland, parts of Scandinavia, sit exactly where Celtic and Viking populations overlapped hardest. If you have red hair, the honest answer involves three populations: Neanderthals, Celts, Vikings, separated by tens of thousands of years, all converging in one strand of DNA sitting on your head right now. And it's not just cosmetic. The same broken MC1R signal reaches into pain. Redheads show a documented shift in pain thresholds, higher for some kinds, lower for others. A 2003 study in the Journal of the American Dental Association found redheads needed measurably more anesthesia at the dentist because MC1R sits in pain perception pathways in the brain, not just pigment. Redheads register more sensitive to cold, to thermal pain, but somewhat more tolerant of certain electrical and skin-based pain. Not a clean upgrade, just a different trade. There's a real cost, too. The same mutations that cause red hair reduce the skin's own UV defenses. Higher risk of melanoma, higher risk of other skin cancers. Not a reason to panic, a reason for sunscreen, hats, regular checks. On the other side of the ledger, that same reduced UV blocking means more vitamin D under weak sunlight. Exactly the advantage that likely mattered most. Once, in Northern Europe, evolution rarely hands out a clean win. This is a fairly normal trade. Give something up, get something else. Before we finish, an honest note. The history here has a dark side, and it's worth saying plainly. Medieval Europe linked red hair to witchcraft, to vampirism, to demonic possession. The 1484 papal bull, tied to the Inquisition, was, at points, used to justify persecuting people who had it. Ancient Greek folklore claimed redheads turned into vampires after death. Roman records show red-haired slaves sold at a premium for being considered desirable, sitting right alongside that same persecution. In 16th and 17th century England, red hair got tangled up with anti-Irish, anti-Scottish prejudice. Rebellious, dangerous. That pattern of singling it out never fully stopped either. Modern research still documents redheads facing disproportionate teasing and exclusion today, feared, prized, mocked, across wildly different centuries, often for no better reason than standing out. One more honest limit before the ending. Having red hair doesn't guarantee your ancestors came specifically from Ireland or Scotland. MC1R shows up at lower frequencies across other parts of Europe and the Middle East too. This is a statistical pattern, not an individual family tree. And whatever color your hair is, it says nothing about your personality or your intelligence, just pigment. And a few connected biological pathways. So the next time someone treats red hair like a quirky detail, give them the real version. It's a 50,000-year-old signature, carried first by an extinct human species, inherited through interbreeding, concentrated by geography and isolation, and still actively shaping how your body handles pain and sunlight right now. You are not broken. You're carrying a piece of a species that isn't here anymore.